What's up, my fellow nerds? I'm Chris, and welcome back to Dees Nerds. And today I'm going to be going through my top 5 episodes for The Simpsons Season 3. Alright, so I've done videos for Seasons 1 and 2, and Season 3 is where most would agree that the show starts to enter its prime. And as much as I love Seasons 1 and 2, I'm inclined to agree. This season is full of great episodes, and I really want to give honorable mention to several that didn't quite make my top 5. Lisa's Pony, where Homer gets Lisa a pony and has to get a second job in order to pay for it. Lisa the Greek, where Homer discovers that Lisa can perfectly predict football games. Black Widower, where Sideshow Bob dates and marries Selma. Like Father Like Clown, where we discover that Krusty is estranged from his rabbi father. And I Married Marge, the story of Homer and Marge's engagement and marriage and the very beginning of their marriage. Honestly, just creating a short list of honorable mentions was really difficult with this season. That's how good it is. My number 5 pick is Colonel Homer. In this one, Homer and Marge have a fight, and Homer ends up hanging out at a bar several miles outside Springfield, where he runs into a waitress and a gifted singer-songwriter named Lurleen Lumpkin. Homer takes an interest in getting her music out to people and becomes her manager. She is clearly attracted to Homer, and Marge notices this, and it makes her very jealous. Lurleen ends up making a pass at Homer, and Homer declines and actually quits being her manager and goes back to Marge. What I love about this episode is that Homer is clearly the epitome of clueless. He has no idea why Marge is upset and doesn't even have a clue that Lurleen is interested in him until she basically has to spell it out for him. All he wants is to just get her music out to people because he loves her music and her singing. I also really love the songs in this episode. They're in that classic country western kind of feel, and they really put across what Lurleen's thinking at that time, whether it's the experiences she's had or the feelings that she's developing for Homer. Marge is really jealous in this. I mean, really jealous. And she knows exactly what Lurleen is up to. And Lurleen really doesn't care. She just sees a man that she loves and she's going after him. I get where Marge is coming from. I really do. But it is so obvious that Homer has no idea what's going on. Also, an extra bonus point, whatever that means, to the trailer park sight gag. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch the episode. Number 4 is Radio Bart. In this, Bart gets a microphone that can go through the radio as kind of like a PA kind of system, and he uses that to pretend to be a little boy named Timmy O'Toole who is stuck down in the well. All of town is trying to get him out, including musicians like Sting, until Bart realizes that his name is on the radio, and he doesn't want to get found out, so he tries to go down the well to get the radio, and ends up falling down the well. The people of Springfield figure out the ruse, and they really don't care to get Bart out like they did Timmy. The family finally gets some people together, including Sting, to help dig him out of the well. First of all, the one thing you've got to love is that the song that they use to advertise this microphone, and what Homer also sings, is Convoy. It's like the cheesiest song from the 70s, and I love that they use that song in this. Also, the We Are the World parody, Sending Our Love Down a Well, is one of the greatest parody songs The Simpsons have ever done. Sting's involvement is great, but the best part is Krusty the Clown parodying the Bruce Springsteen part in We Are the World. Like where they're like, sending our love down the well, all the way down. It's just that. It's so over the top and so hysterical. Also, the part where Sting is like digging really hard there at the end, trying to get Bart out. And he's like, I'd do anything for any one of my fans. And Marge is like, I don't think I've ever heard Bart listen to any of your music. And Homer kind of nudges her. It's like, Marge, he's a really good digger. Like it always gets me. That's so funny there. I also like Chief Wiggum's line in there when Bart actually falls down the well and Marge and Homer trying to get him to do anything to get Bart out of there. And Chief Wiggum basically admits that they're not going to do very much to help him, but they would for Timmy O'Toole because people like that little guy. Number 3 is Stark Raving Dad. In this episode, Homer is sent to a mental institution because he wore a pink shirt to work because Bart washed his red hat with Homer's work clothes. There he befriends a man who thinks he's Michael Jackson, and Homer has no idea who Michael Jackson is. But he befriends him, Homer gets out of the institution, and tells Bart that I'm bringing over this guy named Michael Jackson for dinner. Bart freaks out, tells a bunch of people, and a huge crowd shows up to see Michael Jackson. The crowd is very angry once they figure out it's just this big, large white guy who thinks he's Michael Jackson, and gets angry and leaves. In the meantime, Lisa's birthday's been forgotten due to all this craziness, and to make it up to her, Michael helps Bart write a birthday song for Lisa, which she really appreciates. I want to be very serious when I talk about this episode. As many of you know, this episode was pulled from syndication, as well as it's the only Simpsons episode that is currently not on Disney+. I own the DVD of this season, so I'm still able to watch it. It was pulled because of the allegations that have come out against Michael Jackson here in the last couple of years. I respect that decision, and I don't put this episode in this list because I take those allegations lightly. I want to be very clear here. These are very serious and extreme allegations, and if they are true, it is unforgivable. But the episode itself is really hilarious, and it's really sweet as well, even if you were to replace Michael Jackson with some other pop star. A lot of the jokes are still the same if it were, say, Prince or something like that. Homer's psychoanalyzation at the beginning is so funny. The idea that Burns and Smithers would be so disturbed by a guy wearing a pink shirt that they would want to have him committed is hysterical in and of itself. And just, it's so Homer that the fact that he would not know who one of the biggest stars in the world was. And Lisa's birthday song is so sweet, and it's a song that actually I find myself humming a lot. I understand why it was pulled, and quite frankly, I agree with it being pulled. But that still doesn't stop the fact that it is disappointing that such a wonderful, funny, sweet episode with so much heart had to be kind of put on the axe. It's a horrible situation all the way around, and the casualty of this episode is the least horrible aspect of it. I fully say that and recognize that. But it is a great episode, and it's one of my favorites of this season, and I can't wipe that away. Number 2 is Flaming Moe's. Homer invents a special alcoholic drink that Moe steals and ends up making a killing with, and it makes Moe's a very famous bar, so famous that a band like Aerosmith wants to hang out at it, and he's got a beautiful girl, Colette, that hangs out with him and works with him, and this makes Homer very bitter, getting this drink stolen from him, and so he decides to reveal the contents of the drink, and so that causes Moe's business to go back down to what it was before he stole the drink. This episode is one of those that likely ends up on top 10 list of greatest Simpsons episodes of all time, and it deserves it. First of all, it features Moe, who's one of my favorite side characters in the show. It's got a great cameo performance by Aerosmith. I mean, the bit with the drummer Joey Kramer and Edna Krabappel stealing his drumsticks makes me laugh every single time. Of course, you have Walk This Way is performed in that. That's awesome. Aerosmith, is definitely a band that I like a lot. Homer has one of my favorite lines in the episode. Look at me, I'm making people happy. I'm the magical man from Happy Land with a gumdrop house on Lollipop Lane. Moe is so ruthless in this too, which is pretty characteristic of Moe. I mean, let's face it, Moe's pretty underhanded, and he's always seems like he's doing some type of shady dealings, kind of back alley kind of stuff. So it makes sense that Moe would be a little ruthless in this as well. But also with Moe, how is Colette with him in this? I love Moe. He's one of my favorite side characters, as I just mentioned. But there's no way he would land someone as awesome as Colette is. There's always seems to be this running through line. There's an episode, it seems like every now and then, that they're trying to get Moe set up with somebody to make him happy. But we all know that it will end in abject failure because that's pretty much Moe as a character. And this is no different. Number 1 is Homer at the bat. Homer makes a magical bat that ends up hitting a lot of home runs and winning a lot of games for his power plant softball team, and they make it all the way to the championship. At that point, Mr. Burns decides to bring in a bunch of ringers from Major League Baseball, including the likes of Ken Griffey Jr., Roger Clemens, Ozzie Smith, and Darryl Strawberry, among others. They all have accidents or mishaps before the game, except for Strawberry, of course, who's in Homer's position. But Homer ends up winning the championship for his team anyway by doing the most Homer thing he could do, get hit in the head by a pitch and passing out. This is a huge favorite of mine. Homer in this is actually good at something, right? He's just hitting homers right and left. And the whole story of how he built Wonder Bat was great, like how he was locked outside the house and he grabbed a piece of sheet metal in a lightning storm. Great job, Homer. And runs out to get underneath a tree. Again, great job, Homer. And lightning hits the branch and it falls to the ground, and he decides, oh, this is a magical branch that I should make a bat out of. And so he, makes the bat out of it. I mean, it's just a very Homer moment there. And there are so many great, wonderful moments with Major League players in this one. Ken Griffey Jr. gets hooked on that tonic. I forget what brain and nerve tonic or something like that. And, of course, he has the great line, "There's a party in my mouth, and everyone's invited." And, of course, he develops gigantism from drinking too much of it. I love Daryl Strawberry being a teacher's pet and basically sucking up to Mr. Burns. Wade Boggs getting into a fist fight with Barney Gumble over which British Prime Minister was best. "Lord Palmerston, Pitt the Elder!" And the song at the end of the episode is so fun and catchy. "Well, Mr. Burns had done it. The power plant had won it, with Roger Clemens clucking all the way." This episode is such a joy to watch, and it easily tops the list for my favorite episode of Season 3. Alright, so now I turn to you. What was your favorite episode of The Simpsons Season 3? I would love to hear your comments on it, as well as if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe to the channel if you love what we're doing here at Dees Nerds. And also don't forget to ring that bell icon so you know when we have those videos coming out. Also, we are on Facebook and Instagram, so please follow us there as we have content coming out pretty much daily. So until next time, I'm Chris, and this is Dees Nerds. You guys have a great, safe rest of the day. Bye, guys.